Okay, so we'll start by taking a look at the final exam essay, the actual prompt. So let's look at that. Let's read through. It says, for your final exam this semester, you'll be writing an essay that covers all of the literary movements or units that we've explored in this class. You will focus on writing a well-planned, well-structured, and well-developed essay. Okay, this is what your final exam would have been anyway. But now you just get more time to do it, and you get to write it at home rather than in person. So for this essay, you actually get a choice. So there are 3 prompts to choose from. You have to choose one of them. Please don't try and do multiple prompts. It won't make a whole lot of sense. So let's go over each prompt because some of them are a little tricky to kind of walk through. So the first one, this is one option. It says, read the following excerpt from John Steinbeck's Nobel Peace Prize for Literature speech and describe how it is applicable to the literature we've studied this semester. Okay, so here's what he says, and you have to be thinking, like, how does this work within the literature I've read? Okay, it starts like this. The ancient commission of the writer has not changed. He is charged with exposing our many grievous faults and failures, with dredging up to the light our dark and dangerous dreams for the purpose of improvement. Okay, so this first part, notice, he is talking about what an author's role is and what they're supposed to be doing in their literature. He is charged with exposing humanity's faults and failures. So talking about the ways that we are not successful in, whatever area. It says, with dredging up to the light our dark and dangerous dreams. Okay, so talking about the negative side of humanity, he says that's what a writer is supposed to do. Talk about the negative side of humanity. Notice, for the purpose of improvement, right? So it's kind of like the whole idea of social commentary or social criticism. We want to point out our flaws so that we can then make it better, okay, or make our lives better, society better. Furthermore, the writer is delegated to declare and to celebrate man's proven capacity for greatness of heart and spirit, for gallantry and defeat, for courage, compassion, and love. In the endless war against weakness and despair, these are the bright rally flags of hope and of emulation. I hold that a writer who does not passionately believe in the perfectibility of man has no dedication nor any membership in literature. So this first part, he was talking about one of the kind of purposes of writing is to focus on our negatives, the negative side of humanity, so that we can then make it better. Now he's saying as well, in addition to that, it's also to declare and celebrate man's proven capacity for greatness of heart and spirit. So it's not just we're not just supposed to be telling stories of how bad we are. We're also supposed to be, as authors, they're supposed to be telling stories of ways that people have kind of overcome badness and proven their greatness and proven kind of their worthiness as heroes. Okay, and so those are kind of his 2 ideas of this is what literature is supposed to be about bringing up our failures as humanity, but as a human community, and also celebrating the times when we overcome those failures. Okay, so that is one way you can, or one topic you can write about in your final exam essay. The second prompt, okay, it says, read the following excerpt from Martin Luther King Jr.'s Nobel Peace Prize speech, so 2 speeches here, and describe how it is applicable to the literature we've studied this semester. So, first one was John Steinbeck's, now we're looking at Martin Luther King Jr.'s. It says, ultimately, a great nation is a compassionate nation. No individual or nation can be great if it does not have concern for the least of these. I don't know that I have to explain that one a whole lot, but basically you're going to talk about, hey, how did you see this idea within the literature that we read? Okay? The last one, this one has to do with, yay, the American dream, which we've talked about quite a bit this semester. So let's take a look. It says, in an essay from The Atlantic, author Lori Gottlieb, I don't know how to say her name, sorry, but she says this, she writes, nowadays, it is not enough to be happy if you can be even happier. The American dream and the pursuit of happiness have morphed from a quest for general contentment to the idea that you must be happy at all times and in every way. Okay, so here she's saying, look, at one point the American dream was about just finding a general happiness. And now it says, or now she says that it has morphed, okay, it has changed from a quest for, general contentment to this idea that you have to be happy at all times and in every way. She then cites a different author, a professor of social theory, Barry Schwartz, who says this: happiness as a byproduct of living your life is a great thing, but happiness as a goal is a recipe for disaster. Okay? A byproduct, that means just kind of like as a result of, right? So happiness as a result of living your life, great, awesome. You live your life and you're happy, good for you, that's really great. But happiness as a goal, happiness as your main pursuit in life, he says, is a recipe for disaster. And we have certainly seen that this semester, okay? So that shouldn't be too hard to talk about. So the actual prompt for this one is, in a well-developed essay, take a position on the claim that pursuing happiness as a goal has a detrimental effect, okay? Here it is. This is what you'll be talking about. Pursuing happiness as a goal, not as a byproduct of living life, but as a goal, has a detrimental effect. Then support your argument with examples from the literature we read this semester. Okay, so in all three of them, you are going to be using examples from the literature we read this semester. It's just whether you want to talk about our failures and our successes, whether you want to talk about being a compassionate nation and helping and serving others, or whether you want to talk about the American dream. Okay, that's essentially what we're doing here. You have to use each of the literary units that we did in class at least once. Okay, so the literary units we did: 1, The Great Gatsby; 2, we did modernist authors. That includes Hemingway or O'Connor. Okay, so you can choose at least one story from one of the authors. You don't have to use both. Okay, you need to use Of Mice and Men, and you need to use Same Kind of Different as Me. All right, so there are 4 literary movements that or literary units that we did in class that you need to reference in this work. Okay, so the first, third, and fourth, Great Gatsby, Of Mice and Men, and Same Kind of Different as Me, you have to use them. Okay, where you have some options is in this movement, or in this unit right here, because you can choose between Hemingway or O'Connor if you would like to, and you only have to use one of their stories, even though you read multiple stories from both. Okay, so you only need one modernist story, short story, used within this essay. Can you use more than that? Absolutely. Can you use both a story from Hemingway and a story from O'Connor? Absolutely. Okay, but you have to use at least one from one of them. Okay? Requirements, take a look. It says you need a formal MLA formatted outline that may and should include quotes with citations. Okay, so you do need an outline, and I'm going to talk more specifically and remind you guys of the things you should already know about outlines a little later. But just know that your outline, it has to be there. That should be the first thing that I see, and it should include quotes with citations. And what I mean by citations is parenthetical citations. I should see parenthetical citations on your outlines. Okay, and I should see page numbers. The only ones that might not have page numbers might be from here, but other than that, I should see page numbers in all of your citations. Okay, each Roman numeral, A or B, and 1 and 2 shall be no longer than 1 line except for quotes. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is you can't write your outline in complete sentences. All right, you need to use shortened phrases for your outline. All right, so got to have an outline. That's requirement number 1. Number 2 is a 5-paragraph minimum essay, and those 5 paragraphs also include a full intro paragraph and a full conclusion paragraph. And believe me when I say you need a full paragraph for each. Okay, you can't just have your thesis as 1 sentence and that's your intro. Doesn't work. You have to have a full intro. All right, and you can't just have 1 sentence as your conclusion in your essay. It has to be a full conclusion paragraph. Okay, so that means you need to have at least 3 body paragraphs. Okay, you need to organize by ideas, not examples or units. Okay, so you can't have a Great Gatsby paragraph and then an Of Mice and Men paragraph. Okay, it has to be an idea that is based kind of around whatever topic you choose and whatever prompt you choose. All right. And then notice this is kind of a clarification or a point of clarification. Examples must come from multiple pieces of literature in each paragraph. Okay. So again, you can't have one paragraph that only has examples from The Great Gatsby. Okay. Your paragraph should be, here's my idea, and I have an example from The Great Gatsby, and I have an example from Same Kind of Different as Me. Okay, then my next paragraph, here's idea number 2. I've got an example from Modernist Short Stories and Of Mice and Men. All right, so again, you can't have an Of Mice and Men paragraph where all you talk about is Of Mice and Men. Can you talk about Of Mice and Men twice and use 2 examples from that? Yes, but then you also have to use something from a different piece of literature within that paragraph. Okay, now if you do the math real quick, if you have 3 body paragraphs, okay, and you have 4 mandatory units to use, okay, 3 body paragraphs with at least 2 examples per paragraph, that makes 6. You only have 4 units to use, which means a few of them can be used more than once, okay, and that's perfectly fine. All right, and again, that 2 that's a minimum. Okay, 2 examples per paragraph. So if you want to have 3 examples per paragraph and have a total of 9 examples, great, go for it. Okay, I'm just saying you have to have at least 2 examples per paragraph. There are 3 paragraphs, which makes a total of 6. You have 4 units to use, so some of them will be used more than once. Okay, please feel free to rewind that and listen to that again. Okay, like I said, you do have to have 2 examples per paragraph. At least 1 example must be a direct quote per paragraph. So if you have 3 body paragraphs, you need a minimum of 3 direct quotes. Okay, can you have more than that? Yes, absolutely, but you have to have a minimum of 3 direct quotes. Okay, so you need an outline. You need an essay with a total of 5 paragraphs, including an intro, 3 bodies, and a conclusion. Okay, and then not only must your examples be cited parenthetically within your work, but you also need to have a properly formatted works cited page. Okay, and you guys know what that looks like, but I will give you some reminders on works cited pages a little bit later. All right, now let's take a look at the rubric. I'm not going to go over it in detail because I think you guys can read through it, but just be aware. Let's look at the total real quick. The total is 100 points for this whole thing. Okay, so this is a big thing. I'm giving you about 2 weeks to write this, so that's why it's so many points. You need to take this seriously, and you need to not wait until the last minute to do this. Okay, so again, 100 points is how much it's worth. There's kind of a breakdown per section. MLA format does matter. This is typed, so I do care about it. You get 5 points for it. And so just know that I take that pretty seriously. You can see what kinds of things I'm looking for there. Your outline is worth 20 points. That's 20% of this grade. Okay, if you do not submit an outline, the absolute best, and that means everything else is spotless and perfect, the absolute best you can get is an 80%, that's a B minus. So you have to do the outline, okay? You have to. Your intro paragraph, that's 10 points, and you can take a look at it there. Your body paragraphs, that's the meat of this. It's almost half of the grade. That's 45 points, and there are some very specific things that I'm looking for here. So make sure you take a look at that, and I will go over some of those in the writing reminders video that I do. Your conclusion, that's 5 points. Okay, so you guys know I don't care for them that much, but they are important, so you got to have them. All right, so have it, get 5 points. Your works cited is worth 10 points. So again, if you don't do the works cited, the very, very best, that means everything else is spotless and perfect, the very best you can get is an A minus, a 90%. Okay, but that would mean everything else is perfect. Now, if you don't do the outline and you don't do the works cited, the best you can get is a C minus. Okay, and again, that's considering everything else is spotless and perfect. So don't put yourself in that situation. And then finally, grammar and mechanics. This should be well polished. This should be revised and edited so that it's one of the best pieces of work that you will turn in. So you get 5 points for just grammar and mechanics. And please, please take that seriously. Have someone edit it. Have someone look over your work. before you submit, okay? That's why it's so important that you don't wait until the very last minute to do this. This whole thing, including outline, essay, and works cited, should be submitted as one document through Turnitin on Canvas by Thursday, May 14th by midnight. And that's it.